This is a couple retiring early with $2.2 million, and they're going to Europe. Holy cow. Okay, this is your favorite 401 couple, and we are going to watch a video from CNBC right now.
Where's the popcorn?
Okay, let's react.
Since we've been retired, I have been able to take a lot of time to do the things that I wanted to do.
And that's the reason we started in a low cost of living country, because it gave us a very good insight of where our money is going to get us. Once we felt that we could adjust properly and be able to live retired that way, things just fell into place, so we were able to do more things instead of being caught up in the whole rat race of the United States lifestyle.
Traveling with dogs.
Well, so this couple retired early and moved to Portugal. Yay, we're going to go there this year.
All right.
And I was 47 when we achieved FIRE.
And I was 44 when I achieved FIRE.
We had saved up $2.2 million and decided to travel the world in search of our forever home.
Oh my goodness, retired. They've been living in
We met
Lisbon
when we were in our late
6 years
teens
now. Wow.
in Northern Virginia through family and friends. And Guillermo actually left Virginia for more than 10 years. We remained friends. And when he returned, we began dating and eventually married in 2004.
All right. Okay, so you've got
I was a real estate agent, and I had developed a small real estate team in the United States, Northern Virginia, DC metro area.
I was in the telecom industry for over 20 years, did 4 years in the military and the Marines.
We had a combined income of over $270,000 US. When we retired in 2018, our net worth was $2.2 million US dollars, and currently today in 2022, our net worth is $2.6 million US.
Okay, pause. Okay, so this is 2 years old. This is middle of COVID, but pre-inflation, and well, there's been some market jitters back then, but it's going to be interesting to see if they actually really did retire, because I know you don't like me paying too much attention to the word retire, but I am a compliance geek, and basically every other
What's
video.
What's your hours requirement on this?
Nothing, zero. Okay,
I'm baiting him when
I know that exact hours requirement. Watch our other video. Okay, so basically what everybody else has done is they haven't retired. They've become self-employed. They've left their employer and gone and had a different job, but they've worked a lot less. Okay, but these guys, they moved to a different country, and I'm guessing they're U.S. citizens based on what they've been saying where they came from. So this is going to be really interesting to see what's going on. And they've now got more money than they started with. I can't wait to go to Portugal. Holy cow! Oh, these savers. What is it with these savers?
I went to live with my grandparents in Bolivia. The culture there was very driven to save money, work as long as you can to support your family, and the thought of retiring that early was not even in question.
I grew up in Mississippi in a middle-class neighborhood. We didn't want for anything, but my parents certainly weren't extravagant by any means. My mother specifically had always talked to me about saving in retirement accounts, buying a home, making sure you had emergency money, no debt.
Oh, okay. All right.
My stepfather actually was diagnosed with cancer, and my mother ended up having to take care of him along with myself. And the week that he passed away, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. I spent more than a year taking care of her. And I realized, even though I'd always wanted to retire before 50, I just didn't even want to
be a
live
motivator.
longer. I started really taking a look at our numbers. I started talking with a financial advisor. I found the FIRE community, and I came up with a plan and presented it to Guillermo.
Do they let dogs in FIRE?
I think we just need to go ahead and make the move and retire now and take our lives completely in our...
So this couple, for whatever reason, I am not seeing any hint of children in the frame, so that obvious... What?
Hint of children.
Maybe it's just a faint shadow, I don't know. So that obviously increases their flexibility with what they can.
But they have poignant. She has a poignant
story.
Yes,
she has a very poignant story.
Yes.
She has a very, very. I can imagine something like that is going to change your view on what the future is, and and how you spend your time in it, right? Absolutely. Okay, so hit play.
Our own hands.
She actually did a great presentation because she knew I was going to be a very tough cookie to convince.
She did it with
All
PowerPoint.
the financial apps and calculators that she had, she convinced me quite easily.
So once we achieved FIRE, probably the most difficult thing was realizing we were going to be living outside of the U.S. and leaving our family.
They have
our
a son.
friends, and our son, who still lives in the United States now.
Okay, so they've
And I
got an
think one of
older
the
kid.
Other difficult things that we thought was going to be a big issue was getting rid of all our belongings.
Oh, that's easy.
So much better because
No, it
we
is
actually
not.
now very minimalist.
This is on tape, Christopher. Easy to get rid of your.
No. Okay, that's
Our plan was to stay 2 years in each country to explore and see if we can find our forever home in each country. So we did 3 years in Mexico. Because of the pandemic, there was 1 extra year that we stayed. After that, we wanted to explore more of Europe. The decision was in between Valencia, Spain and Lisbon,
love
Portugal.
Valencia.
And because of the safety, the people, and the culture, we chose Lisbon. And we're willing to
not
stay
Spanish
here
speaking.
for the minimum 5 years to obtain a EU citizenship and keep traveling, exploring Europe.
pause. Okay, so so this is this is giving me more homework. I have to double check how we know about golden visas, which is generally not something you talk about in a retirement video. We've got some ideas to what it takes to get permanent residency. In Portugal, every country in the EU is a little bit different, but they've stayed there long enough to get permanent easy. Did he say citizenship or residency? You can't hear it. Residency. Okay.
It's not
So
citizenship.
it's a residency. Big difference. Okay, but still, and we're going to see how they've grown their investments. They got more now than when they started. Holy cow. Again, this is before the big inflation.
So we have our money mostly in the real estate market and in Roth IRAs.
Do you know?
Really like
Yeah,
It'll
sure.
be quite a victory if those folks had truffle dogs. If those dogs find truffles at the end of this video, I will be totally impressed. That's my dream.
Okay.
Vanguard. Personally, we're into index funds, which I think a lot of the FIRE community is as well. So we manage our money ourselves. We don't actually have a financial advisor. And
Pause. Yeah, I do kind of. Again, maybe it doesn't matter, but I kind of wonder with how these people talk, if the FIRE community is very pro index versus active.
Well, yeah, because you're paying less in fees,
Right,
and
but
that's
possibly less
obvious.
gain too. So I mean, there is a trade-off, but they
the
do
question
seem
is,
they do
can
seem
you
to like
find
the
an
index.
advisor that beats
Right. Well,
the market?
nobody has spoken about. I don't know that any of the people before they got their FIRE number talk about working with a financial professional. They all seem to be doing it on their own, don't they?
Well, they did, and
did.
Why
Okay.
did I don't
No,
know.
no, no. Anyways, all right, keep going.
we also have money in brokerage accounts and in high investment savings accounts.
We also started dabbling with some cryptocurrency investments. Portugal is very crypto friendly, so that has given us the opportunity to diversify and get involved in more crypto investments as well.
In addition to the money that we saved up for retirement, we
This
kept
is
3
before
rental
crypto.
properties in Virginia as part of our investment portfolio. So we actually sold a property in Alexandria, Virginia that we were living in and made over $120,000 on that property. We bought one in Gainesville that we lived in for a number of years. And that's one that we converted into one of the 3 rentals that we have now. The rentals help diversify our investment portfolio. So that helped us have a little more comfort being able to have financial independence without having to worry as much of having our money all in one place.
Pause. Did they say, have they moved their investments to Europe, or are they still investing in the States? Because I know they've got their rental properties in the States.
So when you talk about crypto, is that like nationally? Crypto is
Well,
international.
well, I was going to
so,
get to that,
mean,
but I'm talking
it's-
about, for the non-cryptocurrencies, I don't know if they've said if they've moved their accounts to Europe or not, but they're looking to be differently diversified than any of the other videos we're talking about. We've got rental property in the U.S., we've got cryptocurrency, which, as you say, is theoretically internationally neutral, but depending on what currency it's based on, they're having to live on euros. So there is going to be a currency fluctuation, although it hasn't been that severe since 2022. But I'm curious as to whether or not the Roth IRAs are based on their age, because I don't think they're not 59 and a half yet, so they can't be tapping the tax-free investments from the Roth IRA yet. So it's going to be interesting to see if they've moved their taxable accounts to Europe. And they haven't said whether or not what they're doing with their income tax returns for the U.S. because they're still U.S. citizens. So let's keep right. There's a lot of diversification going on here, but there's a lot of complexity that nobody else that we've talked to is going through. I wonder. Okay, they've got a YouTube channel. You didn't tell us about that,
So
Zach.
our typical expenses in the U.S. before we retired was about $7,000 a month. And in Mexico, our expenses were about $2,700 a month. We have only been in Portugal about 6 months now, only a little over a month in our long-term rental.
How did they
But we can already see that our living expenses are going to be, on average, about $3,700 a month. So definitely a little more than Mexico, but a lot less than living in the U.S. Now that we're not working a 9-to-5 job, we still realize that we needed a regular routine. We actually get up at 6 or 7 in the morning and have our coffee and breakfast. We take the dogs for an hour-long walk typically, and we come back and actually do stretching and exercising, which has made a huge difference, not only in our physical health, but our mental health as well. We eat lunch at home the majority of days. We're prepping food. Guillermo begins to work on his videos in the afternoon, and I will do errands, running to the grocery store, double checking on some of our finances. I've been getting into crypto, so I may be, learning about that more, or going out and taking.
Felipe or Zach, do you remember when crypto started to not do so? That was later in 2023, right? Zach's saying he thinks crypto's doing well again. I mean, with the Sam Bankman-Fried and all that, a lot of the exchanges have disappeared. Since this video was done, Sam Bankman-Fried's been sentenced to 25 years in prison. I know there's a number of other ones that have got substantial legal issues that developed after this was filmed. Okay, so it's interesting to see what their crypto position is now. Yes, dear.
Yeah, but they have 3 properties in the United States, so they have like a way to come back to
the
US.
They still got things. It's just, so they got the properties in the U.S. They have to be filing U.S. income tax.
Yes,
okay, all right, keep going.
Different lessons, whether it's languages or scuba diving or yoga or sourdough bread making. We've always got something that's going on that we work into our daily routines. And lo and behold, before we know it, it's happy hour every day. So
they're not drinking any port.
5 o'clock every afternoon, and really enjoy the weekends and try not to set anything up for that, so that we can go out and explore and do things around the city that we're living in.
Okay.
Right now, we're not considering moving back to the U.S., but one thing we've learned in life is never say never. So we're really looking more at Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, possibly South America, and we'll continue our.
Okay, they said they've only been in Portugal for 6 months, but I thought she said they've been there 5 years to get their permanent residency, or the plan is to be there 5 years to get their residency?
We'd have to rewind.
Okay, I don't remember seeing that, and they have not mentioned health insurance yet, because if they've just been in Portugal if they've just been in the EU for less than 6 months, they're probably not on Portugal's medical system yet. So that's going to be an interesting cost.
Journeys until we find our little piece of paradise.
I do believe one of our greatest achievements is achieving FIRE, actually taking the steps, having the courage to quit the 9-to-5 job and to live off of our investments.
Many people have told us, you need $4 million, you need $6 million to retire. How can you do this? But it is possible at any stage of your life if you just keep an organization, you keep a budget. It's so much greater than just thinking of how much money you need to accumulate. But instead, how are you gonna spend what you have now and have a healthier life, have better experiences traveling and experiencing different cultures around the world.
Holy cow! What do you think, Catherine? What's your summation of these guys?
Well, they're definitely
React.
putting. Let me speak.
Yes, dear.
They're definitely thinking it through pretty deeply, whether or not they're trying to stay in one place, go to multiple places. They definitely are looking at how much they spend per month.
Right.
And quite frankly, for people who have lived on the East Coast, going and living either in Mexico
Yeah, well,
or Portugal it has to look like a huge deal.
Exactly.
Like all the stuff you had to do to achieve fire
in that
market on
market.
the East Coast,
Right.
that was a lot of hefty living. Living retired off of your investments sounds kind of posh,
Yeah.
right?
Sounds great.
I
So-
live off of my investments.
Well, so these guys seem to
job.
be managing their portfolio. I don't with them being in Lisbon and the rental properties being on the East Coast. I think they were all, or maybe one was in Tennessee, Gatlinburg. I think they said Gatlinburg, so it's in Tennessee. But obviously, if the toilet's plugged, they're not getting on a plane to go unplug it. They're having to have somebody manage the properties, so they've got that taken care of. All right.
But I want to say one thing about healthcare, if I can say it, is like
Yes,
a
dear.
lot of times in these other countries, even if you have to pay hard dollars for the procedures, a lot of times it's still cheaper than even having insurance in
Right.
the
It
United
could-
States and doing it.
Paying
So
out of pocket
this
could be
whole kind of
less
thing
than the
like,
premium.
oh,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Catastrophic accident is going to be a different story, but for the most part, just out of pocket could be very affordable. All right, so we've got different investments. Again, this is 2022, so there's been a lot of stuff happening in the crypto market since then, and we don't know what their positions were before, and we don't know what their positions are now. But they do seem to be very diversified. They don't seem to have a side gig. They are managing their portfolio. Which is what they were doing
Well, he's
beforehand.
doing videos, so you don't
But
know
I don't
who's-
know if I guess we have to go check their YouTube page to see if they've got enough views to get revenue from that. So it's just a very, very interesting situation. They're actually doing it. They have more money than when they started. This is just a very, very interesting thing. I'm very jealous, and going to Portugal was really high on my to-do list, and it's really up there right now.
And the thing is, they're not doing extreme austerity.
No.
And
No.
sometimes fire looks like it's extreme
Right.
austerity, but in this case, it's not.
No, they
have numbers. They know how they need to manage their numbers, and they have some diversification
right.
to help them. But they're going out to eat at
They're going
dinner,
out.
and
They're going
having
out
a glass
to eat.
of wine.
They're having a
with it.
glass of wine. They're doing happy hour. I mean, these guys and they're being tourists and all that. This is a very cool thing. Okay, this is your favorite 401 couple. Okay, we hope. Hopefully you've liked the video. I enjoyed watching it. Did you enjoy chatting with me and drinking
Well,
bourbon?
Sure.
Yeah,
we're
okay,
planning
cool.
on going to Portugal.
So please, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, get in touch with us specifically at Sales at Hunter Benefits, and keep those cards and letters coming. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Toodaloo.